blood, come the prince that was promised, and his will be the song of ice and fire.
Welcome back, Watchers Beyond the Wall. My name is Monica, and if you don't know who I am, I post videos pertaining to a Song of Ice and Fire content, and a little bit of whatever is on my mind. Here, we deep dive and overanalyze re-watching shows and movies over and over again to understand what the writer is trying to tell us. Without further ado, brace yourselves for rewatch. In the deepest shadows of night, where the wind howls through desolate lands and the earth itself trembles to uphold the flickering flame of R'hllor, with haunting reverie, the flame of the Lord grants dominion over his believers.
Each morning at first light, the red priests gathered to welcome the sun outside their modest wharfside temple.
For the night is dark and full of terrors.
Hate had heard them cry those words 100 times.
It is said the Lord of Light's flame can reveal the true nature of the world, illuminating the unseen and cast out the darkest of secrets in the open. The warm flames of R'hllor can disclose a far-seeking truth and show you visions beyond one gaze of the ordinary world we see today. As the first hint of dawn bleeds across the sky, the stark contrast of the red flame against the encroaching darkness serves as a foreboding reminder.
R'hllor is not done with him yet. Life is warmth, and warmth is fire, and fire is God's, and God's alone. Arya felt tears well in her eyes.
Of the unseen forces that lurk just beyond the reach of mortal comprehension. In the realm of R'hllor, the night is not merely the absence of light, but a living entity with its own dark design, waiting for the moment when the flame reveals its dreadful truth. Here, the fire does not simply illuminate. It exposes the rawest, unsettling reality behind its veil of secret. Those who seek guidance of the Lord of Light are dawned by the promise of illumination by his guiding visions, yet will find themselves in unparalleled journeys derivative of fire itself, seeking out the truths, uncovering deeper depth of oppression and the darkness. In the realm of light and darkness, they are dancing a dance of death and destruction. But who will come out victorious? Organization. R'hllor, often heralded as the Lord of Light, the heart of fire, and the god of flame and shadow, is a deity surrounded by mystery, and is the one who dances with fire and tries to drive out the darkness. In the vast lands of Essos, his presence burns brightly, casting a long shadow across the free cities and the distant lands of Asshai. Yet, in Westeros, his worship is yet a flickering ember, compared to the blazing inferno found elsewhere. The symbol of R'hllor, a fiery heart encased in molten embers, symbols his dominion over light, heat, and life itself. His followers, the Red Priestesses, lead their dominion in red temples and nightfires, seeking to channel his divine essence through ritualistic fires and fervent prayers. The fire is not a mere symbol or source of warmth, but a sacramental element embodying the physical manifestation of R'hllor's power. The doctrine of R'hllor's religion is spread in dualism, mirroring the Manichaeism struggle between light and darkness.
Our choices are the same. We choose light, or we choose darkness. We choose good, or we choose evil. We choose the true God, or the false.
In this cosmology, R'hllor stands as a beacon of life and vitality, while his nemesis, the Great Other, who will never be named as it sparks dread and ominous death, represents the void of ice and death. This eternal conflict is not merely a cosmic struggle, but a reflection of the underlying forces that shape the world's fate. Prophecy from ancient tombs of Asshai foretell that the struggle will come in a cataclysmic return of Azor Ahai, a metanic figure destined to wield the flaming sword Lightbringer and awaken stone dragons, therefore shaping and turning the scales of destiny.
You are he who must stand against the other, the one whose coming was prophesied 5,000 years ago. The red comet was your herald. You are the prince that was promised, and if you fail, the world fails with you.
In the eyes of R'hllor, divine reverence, fire is a symbol of life itself. The red priestesses uphold shadows not as mere darkness, but is just the absence of life, and is a creature and servant of R'hllor, maintaining a strong devotion and divine will of shadow creatures. Shadows itself are viewed as interbodies of celestial life, a paradoxical blend of creation and devotion. Shadows often conceal themselves from passerbyers, seeing as you don't have the gift of R'hllor, then you will not see them the way the red priestesses do.
A shadow is a thing of darkness. You are more ignorant than a child tonight. There are no shadows in the dark. Shadows are the servants of light, the children of fire. The brightest flame casts the darkest shadows.
According to the revered priestesses Melisandre, the Lord of Light upholds the innocence and beauty in the highest regard, rewarding them in a state of splendor and cherishes their offspring. This represents and underscores the god's complex relationship with purity and sacrifice. R'hllor's worshipping is mostly found in Essos, with grand red temples and fervent followers found across the free cities. In Asshai, the heart of the religion's trading hub, the temple of the Lord of Light in Volantis stands as a pillar, a testament of true influence. Its grandeur is said to be as big or bigger than the sept of Baelor in King's Landing, reflection of the heart of worship when it comes to the free cities. Other cities like Ravos, Lys, Marine, Pentos, Quaha, and Tirash, and Volantis host red temples, waving a network of spiritual advisors across eastern Essos. The fervency and dedication between these lands show how Azor Ahai and R'hllor can shape many lives.
The red priests love their fires, Yoko told her. The Lord of Light is their god, Red R'hllor.
In contrast, Westeros holds only a few scattered R'hllor temples, with red priestesses emerging in regions like Dorne, Dragonstone, King's Landing, and Old Town. Here, the influence of R'hllor and the Lord of Light is scarce to none. The Faith of the Seven has dubbed Melisandre as a demon practicing dark art. R'hllor's domain is thus a kingdom, a realm of paradox, a god of life who thrives in fire, heat, and warmth. Yet it's deeply enthralled with darkness and death, a figure of hope but doom, a struggle through the great other, shaping the cosmic fate and the order of life and death. The flame of R'hllor is not only illuminating the world itself, but it's also uncovering the darkest of truths. Red priests are devoted servants to R'hllor, embodying embodying the unique blend of mysticism and righteous scholar. Their training encompasses not only the sacredness of prayer, but also the casting of such permitted spells, but also a profound education in the arts of fire gazing, a practice that requires years of meticulous studying. To understand the shapes and symbols hidden within flame is a skill that takes years to understand, even longer to require the study of complex arts within the fiery vision. Within the red temples displayed to R'hllor, numerous priests, both male and females, underscore within this rigorous training. Their robes, which range from a flowing crimson and scarlet opulence, scarlet satin, and blood velvet, symbolize the fury and allegiance to R'hllor, setting them apart as adversaries of the Lord of Light. In the free cities, where worship of R'hllor is deeply intertwined, red priestesses are common, yet still striking. In cities of Volantis, where practices are barred with slaves and factions, tattoos set them apart. Even those enslaved with the service of R'hllor display their dominion through flame tattoos across their face, marking them as servants and symbols of their god. In contrast, Westeros hosts only a handful of red priestesses and are hard to find in such territories, although they could be found in Dorne, Dragonstone, King's Landing, and or Old Town. Where their dominion is far and in between, they are likely there. Most notably, Melisandre is in the north as she accompanies King Stannis, who she believes is Azor Ahai, known as the Prince that is Promised. Their rituals include lighting nightfires at sunset, a practice that symbolizes the internal struggle over darkness, and gathering as the morning greets them, returning as a sacrosanct of the light coming from the divine R'hllor.
The fiery heart of R'hllor, Lord of Light, and God of flame and shadow. At Melisandre's urging, he had dragged the seven from their sept at Dragonstone and burned them before the castle gates, and later had burned the godswood of Storm's End as well, even the heart tree, a huge white weirwood with a solemn face.
The role of red priestesses extend beyond just ritual and prophecy. They are also custodians of the sacred traditions and passages. The final kiss administered to the deceased followers is a solemn act, marking their transition into the afterlife of R'hllor's gaze. Additionally, children are sometimes restored to the Red Temple from a young age, groomed for various rules while the priesthood is admonishing them through the various customs. Those children may be raised as priestesses, temple guidance, attendees, or even members of the Fiery Hands warriors devoted to R'hllor's cause. In some instances, the temples also purchase children to serve as slaves. The Red Priestesses' extensive training and their multifaceted roles play a part that goes more in depth within the commitment of R'hllor. They are not merely religious figures, but a crucial part to the ritual, sacrifice, and ambition within the worship of Lord of Light. Their practices, whether grandiose or not, have an indelible mark on Essos, and their sacrifice will be made for the great or good when the darkness comes. Temple of the Lord of Light. The Temple of the Lord of Light in Volantis is revered as the largest and most imposing religious structure in the known world. Its imposing scale and opulent grandeur is something unmatched compared to anything else. Its unique walls and intricate faceted details show just the might of R'hllor's worshipping. This temple, although a principle and the power of R'hllor, displays the idealized worship of R'hllor. It's also a testament of archetypical grandeur and the intricate faceted practices within its walls, known as the priesthood or the Red Priestesses.
The Red Priests have a great temple on Lais. Always they are burning this, and burning that, crying out to their R'hllor. They bore me with their fires. Soon they will bore King Stannis too, it is to be hoped.
Central to the functioning of the Volantene Temple, it is a unique system of adversaries. All individuals who serve within its sacred halls are slaves purchased as children, who are then micrally trained from a young age. This practice involves extreme hardship within the Lord of Light's temples. Also raises questions about the nature of the worship and the ethics behind such institution. Whether other temples in direct contact of the Lord of Light in different cities follow a similar practice is unknown. Thoros of Myr, a notable red priest, proclaims a personal testament to the practices, revealing that he was given to the Red Temple as a young child. His experience highlights a significant role that is played in such a cruel manner, shaping the lives of young children.
I was no very holy priest. I was born youngest of 8. So my father gave me over to the Red Temple, but it was not the path I would have chosen.
Boro, the high priest of Atlantis, embodies the factions of religion, honor, and authority, holding the title as Flame of True, Lord of Wisdom, and the first servant of the Lord of Light. These titles reflect not only his spiritual leadership, but also his role as a slave of R'hllor, underscoring the unique bond of authority and the subject of morality through the characterization of the Volantene's temple. Distinctive among the red priests of Atlantis is the practice of tattooing flames across the cheeks, chin, and forehead of all priests. This visual mark of devotion and identity is a signature of the Volantene temples and practices within the priesthood, setting them apart from their counterparts elsewhere. Most notably, red priestesses like Torosh or Melisandre from other regions do not bear such tattoos, indicating a difference within such culture, a shift between the symbols of expressing their faith. In addition to its religious function, the Volantene temples are guarded by what is known as a fiery hand, a formidable army of 1,000 slave soldiers dispatched to protect the temple.
Look there. He pointed at the steps, where a line of men in ornate armor and orange cloaks stood before the temple's doors, clasping spears with points like writhing flames.
This elite group underscores the fervency of protecting its sacred halls as a center of power and influence, assuring the security and maintaining security amongst the priests and nobility. The temple also emerges within questionable practices, extending beyond traditional religious roles. Some slaves are trained as temple prostitutes, a controversial yet integral part of the temple's order. This practice reflects the complexity of this worship, although we don't understand exactly what part is necessary for this. Among the worshippers in Volantis, the act of pulling cloth that is red or scarlet over their sleeves or trying to hide their brow is a common practice. This small but significant devotion connects them with the community and grandeur of tradition within the temple of the Lord of Light, symbolizing their devotion to their fire deity.
The red god R'hllor is favored by many, especially among the slaves and freedmen of the city. The temple of the Lord of Light in Volantis is said to be the greatest in all the world. In Remnants of the Dragon Lords, Archmaester Gramion claims that it is fully 3 times larger than the great sept of Baelor.
Overall, the Temple of a Lord of Light in Volantis stands as a pillar, a testament to everything sacred. Though some worships are harsh and enduring, the worship within R'hllor is the dominant religion within Essos. It serves as a functioning point, a religion that practices life and death itself, and is the only religion that accepts the coming of the others. Prayers. Followers of R'hllor emerge in a profound and sacred ritual known as nightfire ceremonies, a daily act of devotion that spans from sunset till dawn of a new day.
Beyond it stood another temple, a red stone edifice as stern as any fortress. Atop its great square tower, a fire blazed in an iron brazier 20 feet across, while smaller fires flanked its brazen doors.
This ritual embodies the essence of their faith, intertwining the guidance, support, and the symbolic struggle between light and darkness. As the sun sets and the day gives way to night, the night fire is supposed to protect the followers of R'hllor, a practice rooted in belief through the flame service, both a beacon of hope and a shield regarding to the darkness. The act of lighting a fire is not merely a physical gesture, but also a deeply spirited one, respecting and a thankfulness for the end of the day, but also a pleading for the divine R'hllor to rise the sun once more and cast out the darkness. The night fires blaze till sunset, and the accompanying prayers extend for over an hour. Some meticulous priests keep their fires going throughout the night. This connection and worship to their deity offers a ritual sacrifice for the return of the sun.
O Lord of light, we beseech you, cast your fiery eye upon us, and keep us safe and warm, they sang to the flames, for the night is dark and full of terrors.
In the early morning, as the first light breaks, red priestesses unite their flames once more, celebrating the return of daylight itself. The daily ritual underscores the cycle between nature's light and darkness, a reflection to the followers that even though the Lord of Light has power and is the source of all warmth and illumination, they do have a darker adversary, which is the great other. During the night, some priestesses regard and keep their fires blazing, casting out the darkness, a testament to their devotion. A common phrase uttered during these night fires is, "The night is dark and full of terror." This terrifying prayer underscores that the darkness should be feared and the lightness should be brought in and welcomed. Marriage customs. In the sacred tradition of R'hllor, the wedding ceremony is a profound and symbolic rite, shed in themes of light and fire. It's characterized through the faith. The ritual unfolds a series of ritualistic prayers and actions, which designed to intertwine the life of the bride and groom in a sacrifice of marriage.
Will you share your fire with Alice, and warm her when the night is dark and full of terrors? I swear me.
The ceremony begins with a red priest or a red priestess who stands by a hitched fire, a celestial element of the ritual. This fire, blazing with fervency, serves both as a light source and a symbolic beacon of warmth and protection. The priest or the priestess assembles sacrificing prayers, embarking the blessing of R'hllor upon the union. These prayers are answered by the guests in their response, echoing the joy of such occasion.
All praise R'hllor, the Lord of Light. The wedding guests answered in ragged chorus, before a gust of ice-cold wind blew their words away.
The priest and the groom await for the bride by a ditch fire, is escorted to the priest, who first asks the bride to identify herself, and next asks who claims the bride. Both bride and groom are asked to share their fire with one another, and to revoke when the night is dark and full of terror, to protect each other. Bride and groom are then supposed to leap over the ditch fire together to emerge as one. Following the ceremony, the groom will remove her maiden's cloak and place the bride's cloak around her shoulders. Following the ceremony, the fire feast will occur. Death. Through the indoctrination of R'hllor, the relationship between life, warmth, and divine fire is foundational. The belief is that life itself is warmth, and warmth is fire, and fire is God, and God alone. It symbolizes the sacrifice within nature of fire as a gift and a symbol of purity. This foundational connection underscores the significance of fire in both life and death within the religious practices of R'hllor. When a person dies, it is to be believed that their spirit ascends to the Hall of Light, a celestial realm which they are now to be seated next to the Lord of Light himself. This transformation is not merely a passage from one state of being to the next, but a profound journey that is taken and derivative of a celestial event. The death rites performed by a R'hllor priest are known as the last kiss.
The last kiss, it is called, and many a time I saw the old priests bestow it on the Lord's servants as they died.
In a stark symbolization of a designed guidance through one state to the next, and the final kiss is brought to the one who is dying or is dead. This intricate practice is sacrosanct to every red priest's knowledge, reflecting the critical role that this will be crossing death into the afterlife.
I had given it a time or two myself, as all priests must, but never before had I felt a dead man shudder as the fire filled him, nor seen his eyes come open. It was not me who raised him, my lady. It was the Lord.
The last kiss involves the priest filling his mouth with fire, an act that is significant and sacred to the transformative purities of the power of flame. The fire itself transforms within the priest's mouth into the hostess's body, filling his throat through the warmth traveling to his lungs, heart, and soul, cleansing them and preparing their journey to the Hall of Light. Visions and magic. Red priestesses of R'hllor are deeply marred with the spiritual practices involving vision seeking through the flames of their night fires. This ritualistic sacrifice is not only a very skilled but also dangerous knowledge to have, and very complex and challenging for the person to understand such vision. During the training of the red priestesses, they learn to differentiate and understand their visions as clearly as possible. These visions can show insight through the past, present, and future occurrences. Despite the belief in such visions, some priestesses have a hard understanding of what is truly being asked of them or understanding the vision itself. Unclear visions are most often or not the occurrence within one's case. The most skilled priests often struggle understanding their divine messages through the flames.
Sometimes he sees things in the flames, the squire told her. The past, the future, things happening far away. Arya squinted at the fire to see if she could see what the red priest was seeing.
The path to understand this unique training skills takes years to understand the visions within the flames. Priestesses, most often or not, learn the shapes and the forms of the flames before even understanding the visions, a skill that demands incredible concentration and diligence. Although they are still subject through challenges and liabilities during the visions, they are taught to see the past, certain current events, and future outcomes. Understanding past events, future ones, and events that are happening right now is critical, as it could mean that they are interpreting a vision wrong and incorrectly, which could mean a potential downfall or a misjudgment of an action they must occur. Melisandre, often or not, doesn't understand her visions, and believing Stannis is Azor Ahai come again is one of these instances. Within R'hllor's visions, it is hard to distinguish right from wrong or what the Lord of Light truly asks of her when her judgment is clouded.
I'll have to try.
I'm ordering you not to bring me back.
I am not your servant, Jon Snow.
You're in my camp. I'm the commander.
I serve the Lord of Light. I do what he commands.
How do you know what he commands?
I interpret his signs as well as I can.
Forcing one's own beliefs on the vision is also a consequential for error. When Melisandre truly believes that Stannis Baratheon is the prince that is promised, the visions that she sees are just to prove her point that he is. Summoning the shadow figure proves her point that he is the prince that is promised, because how would R'hllor support such a grievous act if he wasn't? Now we have to take this all into consideration, because once she understands that Stannis isn't the prince that is promised, she will have an existential crisis. It's also believed that red priestesses can see falsehoods. Understanding when somebody is lying is a gift that R'hllor gives to their priestesses, and it also helps to understand interactions in human behaviors. The notion that the other servants' false cloaked hearts guided them through the lights of untarnished water can help them through the trials and tribulations of life. And we also have to understand that certain red priestesses have extended their years and youth, or behaving like a human is harder for them. Melisandre often talks in riddles, and it's really hard to understand her sometimes because she's lived for so long that she just understands her purpose and will get to that means by any possible end.
I've been ready to die for many years. If the Lord was done with me, so be it, but he's not. You've seen the Night King, Jon Snow. You know the Great War is still to come.
Another common practice is to call upon shadow entities for the service of the Lord of the Light. They are children of fire, the servants of light. A shadow only occurs through the absence of light itself. Without light, shadows could not exist. Azor Ahai. According to ancient legends from the Far East, the blood betrayal of the Bloodstone Emperor marked the beginning of an age of darkness, which the people of Westeros know as the Long Night. This cataclysmic era is said to have been occurred while the old empire of Gis was still in infancy, long before the rise of many great civilizations of this world. As the darkness descended upon the land, engulfing them in despair and chaos, a great warrior emerged, destined to defeat this overwhelming evil.
In ancient books of Asshai, it is written that there will come a day after a long summer, when the stars bleed, and the cold breath of darkness falls heavy on the world.
The legendary hero, with many tales of them traveling far and wide, is known by many names and cultures across stories. The followers of R'hllor know him as Azor Ahai, a prophetic character, one derived from prophecy. Other cultures refer to them as many different names. Azor Ahai, aware of the task before him, knew he must forge a weapon of unparalleled power to vanquish the darkness. He set about forging a sword worth of a hero, laboring tirelessly for 30 days and nights within the sacred fire of a temple. Yet, when the time came to temper the blade in water, it shattered. Undeterred, Azor Ahai began once more, this time for 50 days and nights. With determination, he sought out to temper the blade within the heart of a captured lion, but thus it shattered once more. Knowing that a sacrifice of the highest order could bring success, Azor Ahai embarked on his final attempt. For 100 days and nights, he worked on the sword. When it was ready, he called his beloved wife, Nissa, and asked her to bare her breast. Plunging the sword into her heart, her soul merged with the steel, creating Lightbringer, the red sword of heroes. This sword forged a union of sacrifice. It is said that it was always warm to the touch, a testament to the life that it had claimed. With Lightbringer in hand, Azor Ahai did not face the darkness alone. He led an army of valiant men, each divided with hope to restore the world as it was before the clutches of darkness hold its grip on the world tightly. Together they led forces against the creatures of darkness. Their leader had a burning sword, the fire of the gods.
And he bore a hero's sword, the enchanted blade Lightbringer, whose glow lit up the night.
The Jade Compendium, an ancient text, records the events of Azor Ahai, thrusting Lightbringer through a monstrous foe. A beast bursted into flames, consumed by the sword's might. Prophecies from the ancient books of Asshai say to date back over 500 years. It foretells that Azor Ahai will be reborn into a champion sent by R'hllor in humanity's final hours. After a long summer, when the cold and darkness sets foot on humanity, claiming the world into eternal darkness, the hero will rise, wielding Lightbringer once more. It is said that if he falls, the world will fall into an eternal darkness, a fate too terrible to imagine. The rebirth of Azor Ahai will be the last hope for humanity, standing against the unparalleled power of the darkness. If he falters, the world itself will perish. History. When Prince Rhaegar Targaryen was young, him and Maester Aemon were convinced that Rhaegar himself was the prince that was promised, the legendary hero, to save the world against the darkness. As Rhaegar grew older and became more wiser, he believed the prophecy didn't refer to himself, but rather his infant son, Prince Aegon Targaryen. Through this idea, when a comet blazed across the sky of King's Landing on the night of Aegon's birth, a sign that he believed marked the coming of the full-told savior. Years later on Dragonstone, the Red Priestess Melisandre, hailing from the Shadowlands beyond Asshai, declared that Stannis Baratheon was Azor Ahai reborn, the legendary war hero destined to wield Lightbringer. As he stands, he would defeat the others and the darkness. To prove her claims, Melisandre formed several rituals, including burning the Seven, the gods of Westeros.
Aegon, what better name for a king? Will you make a song for him? The woman asked. He has a song, the man replied. He is the prince that was promised, and his is the song of ice and fire.
And proclaiming that Stannis already had the sword Lightbringer itself. Melisandre's visions and faith lead her to believe that Stannis Baratheon is truly Azor Ahai come again. She proclaims and asserts that Azor Ahai reborn, a hero merged from fire by the Red Comet, is Stannis. He must wake stone dragons and defeat the parallel enemy of the White Walkers or the others. Meanwhile, far away from Dragonstone, Dragonstone, an aging Maester Aemon came to believe that it wasn't Stannis, but rather Daenerys Targaryen, born amid salt and smoke on Dragonstone, and now the mother of 3 dragons. Daenerys seemingly fulfills every aspect of this ancient prophecy.
The hairs on the back of Tyrion's neck began to prickle. Prince Aegon will find no friend here. The Red Priest spoke of ancient prophecy, a prophecy that foretold the coming of a hero to deliver the world from darkness. 1 hero, not 2. Daenerys has dragons. Aegon does not.
Followers of R'hllor hold a profound belief system within their duties that their god is the creator of the sun and star, illuminating the world even in times of darkness. This belief is closely tied to the ancient books found in Asshai. According to the text, a long summer will endure, but the darkness will grow ever stronger, a manifestation of evil and cold. To combat this, Azor Ahai, a figure with unparalleled power, must fight the coming darkness. In an effort to expand the teaching and influence of R'hllor in Westeros, the Red Priest Thoros of Myr was dispatched to the capital of King's Landing. His mission was simple: convert the once king Aerys, who was obsessed with fire and divine prophecy at the time, so that he would understand the arduous task of Azor Ahai. And many Targaryens believed that it was themselves. So, this belief system should have been an easy mission, but it was met with failure. In result, King Aerys did not believe this prophecy or dismiss the claims entirely. But before he really had a time to explain the prophecy, Robert's Rebellion happened, and Torah literally watched King's Landing fall and was there to witness the aftermath of the sacking of King's Landing, a colossal destruction on both parts. In conclusion, the power of faith, especially in a world of A Song of Ice and Fire, is strong and very much persuasive. It is easy to get caught up in divine prophecy and trying to fit it for one person. We see this time and time again for Melisandre's character, but we also see the power and the persuasion that faith can have, altering somebody's perspective for good or evil.
Behold, a sign was promised, and now a sign is seen. Behold, Lightbringer, Azor Ahai has come again. All hail the warrior of light. All hail the son of fire.
Within the faith of R'hllor, it's cruel and sick, but because they believe that they're doing something right, it excuses all of the sacrifices within the idea of Azor Ahai. And because they must honor their god to their own sick ends, then it has to be right. Throughout A Song of Ice and Fire, we are taught that there is perilous sacrifices that need to be made to sustain the order of things. Within R'hllor, we see this as well. To sacrifice one's true love, or to sacrifice blood and sweat to save off something far worse, goes along the lines of the quote that Otto Hightower says in Season 1 of House of the Dragon: "You must spare a few to save the many."
A sacrifice made for the stability of the realm. No king has ever lived that hasn't had to forfeit the lives of a few to protect the many, though I understand your squeamishness.
Reluctance to murder is not a weakness.
And a lot of people use this to combat teachings within R'hllor. The belief system that Daenerys Targaryen is the proclaimed Azor Ahai come again is evident in key elements of the prophecy. You don't have to bend certain things to fit the prophecy. It's right there. She was reborn amidst salt and ash in the Dothraki Sea, waking 3 stone dragons, becoming the mother of dragons. She walked through fire, becoming the unburnt. Within the House of the Undying, she went through and saw perilous visions proclaiming that she would free slaves and be called Misa. This all in turn shows you that she could be Azor Ahai come again, reborn. Now, it is interesting to believe that Stannis somehow fits these prophecies when he hasn't done anything to really show that he is Azor Ahai. He hasn't even been king, and one of the prophecies is that they'll move nations. Daenerys' prophecy is that she will unite the whole Khalasar, the stallion who mounts the world, and that also ties in with Azor Ahai. That is a video for another day. Thank you, Watchers Beyond the Wall, for watching today's video. I know it was a long one, but there's so much to talk about when you're talking about R'hllor because it also interconnects with Azor Ahai. I have another video planned to go way more in depth with the idea of Azor Ahai and who truly fits the archetype for her, because Azor Ahai could be male or female, and a lot of people fit that archetype. Thank you so much again for watching today's video. I'm out. Watchers Beyond the Wall.